place where East meets West. From the bicameral fissure of the global mind, from the Eastern Bloc to American rock. Welcome to At This Moment on freedomslips.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm Angela Black. The show is called At This Moment here on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the number one 100% listener-supported radio station on the planet and possibly beyond. Yes, I wanted to give a shout-out quickly to Mr. Rowe, second week doing his show. So congratulations on becoming the newest, one of the newest family members here at Revolution Radio in the host side of things. We know you've been around for a while in chat, etc. So I'm glad that you have joined the bandwagon. It happens. It does, you know. So anyway, hello to everyone in the chat room, by the way. What are you guys up to? I just wanted to let you all know that I didn't get a chance to say my personal hellos to you all, but you know I love you. And yeah, I was just scrambling. I guess I changed my password like a couple of weeks ago, and then my computer reset during a show the other day. So I lost all my info, and I'm scrambling to find my password. You know how it goes. The huge. So anyway, what else? Oh, yeah, so we are listener-supported. Now, if you go to the donate button at the side of the chat room, that is right there. I'm going to hit donate and see what happens. Wow, look at that. It's like magic. All of a sudden, you can find out how to support Revolution Radio. And ways to do that are amazing. You can get the single-season family garden seed pack for $60. You can get the jumbo emergency survival seed pack for $100. Donation, that is. It's not a purchase. It's a donation and an amazing prize on the back end. And this month, actually, Nighthawk will be throwing in a 1-ounce silver bar with your emergency $100 donation, your emergency survival seed pack. Also, the community garden seed pack for $200 donation. That will also include a 1-ounce silver bar for your donation. And I believe that's working at like $19 and some change right now. So, I mean, you're not getting nothing for your buck. Not to mention, you get to feel really good about yourself, because you're helping this truth movement stay alive. And, yeah, you know, you just take a deep breath like this. Let's do it. Are you ready? Let's do the deep breath. Here we go. All right, ready? In and out. Isn't that better? So, yeah. You get to feel like that when you donate to Revolution Radio as well. So this is Studio B. This show is here every week. Special thanks to John B. Wells for being my guest last week on the show. You guys can catch that in the archives, which is another great way to find yourself donating to the station and ending up with awesome prizes on the back end. Yeah, you just go to Angela Black in the archives. And by the way, access to the archives, literally a mere $5 a month. So highly recommend you to do that. If that made any, you know, English sense there. I don't know. My grammar is a little shot today. Yeah, all that fun stuff. So yeah, go to the, come on, Ange, you can do it. Go to the archive section and on the homepage and find yourself subscribing to the archives, because you can skip past parts like this. Once you download the particular file that you're looking for. And it's 72 hosts, or maybe 73 now. 2 different studios A and B. So if you're missing some of the shows, you can catch them the next day. It's amazing. Let's see. Gonna babble on a little more. Not to be confused with Babylon, but to babble on. Hold on, my cat's freaking out. Hold on a second.
Kitty, Bill, can you let the kitty out? Thank you.
My cat's all scared and freaked out. He's my producer. And he wanted out because I was jumbling my words around. So anyway, so guess what? Guess who's here tonight? Guess who's my guest? One of the popular hosts here on Revolution Radio, actually one of the top hosts here on Revolution Radio, and also just an amazing person in his own right. V, the Guerrilla Economist, will be here in just a few minutes. So I wanted to let you all know that. Call your friends, tell your friends, text your friends, you know, post it on Facebook, do whatever you got. I'm on Facebook. I did post that. So if you guys go to my Facebook page, which is simple to find, it's This Blue Monkey. If you do facebook.com/thisbluemonkey, you'll find me. And I posted a link for tonight's show. So if you want to go to the Facebook page and share that, that'd be awesome. Also, What else? I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, you guys can visit my website. It's angelablack.vision, and I am starting to, with the help of my good friend Rectify, I'm starting to get my archives up and running almost in real time. Obviously, an archive is not in real time. It's right after the fact. But yeah, so you guys can check out archives. All you do is go to my homepage, angelablack.vision, and then you look at the left, and it'll say, At This Moment with Angela Black. It's a tab. It takes you directly to my YouTube page. A special thanks to my friend Peter out there in Las Vegas, who helped me get that tab action happening on my website. So yeah, and my YouTube channel, which is still sparse, but growing every day. Much thanks to people like John B. Wells and Mia Pope for being my guest. Mika Rasila was another guest. David Black. I still owe David the option to be on my webpage there, the YouTube page. I was amiss. I just started getting this whole thing rolling. But anyway, yeah. The YouTube page is BLUMUNKEE, so it's Blue Monkey spelled kind of weird. But if you just type in Angela Black and say if you're looking for the John B. Wells interview, you just type in my name and his name and you'll find it. So it's kind of exciting. Okay, what else? I'm just going to breathe a little more. So just a few things from my day, if you want to know. I went to the dermatologist today, and I have some biopsies going on in 3 little spots, 3 little skin cancer spots. So I will be getting the results back next week. Nothing life-threatening. Just shaved off a little piece to do a quick test. And so if you guys are, if you do have an odd mole or whatever, I would at least recommend looking at it and paying attention to it, whether or not you're a fan of going and getting, things cut off your body. At least pay attention if you were a sun worshiper, etc. It's always good to at least know whether or not you are, I don't know, laden with cancer all over your body. Not funny. Not really funny. But anyway. Yeah, so I did that today. What else? Also found out a dear friend of mine passed away. So, rest in peace, Steve Klein. You'll be missed. I found out he passed away, in November, and we don't talk as often as we used to because we live far apart and people have lives and stuff like that. But, I did find out the bad news that, he is gone from this plane and is now in another realm. And, so rest in peace, Steve Klein. I just wanted to say that. And, what else? I don't know. I think I'm just going to continue babbling for a quick second. So roguemoney.net is the place, but I think he said he'd come in at 10 after the hour, so I'm just going to give it a few more minutes. Why don't I go to the chat room and just say hello to you people, my lovely friends here in chat, before we bring V, the Guerrilla Economist, on to the show. He'll be joining me for the next 2 hours. And we may be taking some calls during the second hour. So if you are interested in that, just Skype me. And also, let me give you my I never know if the phones are working. So you can call the usual number, which is 310-421-4053 during the second hour. If you like to, then you can join in and maybe ask a question to V, or you can go on to Skype, which is my favorite way to take calls. Because it's just easier. You get to see who you're talking to. And you can add me as this blue monkey on Skype if you have not already. And if you're not a Skyper, well, you will be soon. People want to bag on Skype, but I personally really like Skype. It has helped me stay in touch with people all around the world very easily. So kudos to Skype, even if some people are able to infiltrate into Skype. You know who I know, that we know what we're talking about. But anyway. So yeah, let's go to the chat room. Nighthawk's here, a mad painter. Briarios, 790. We got the 2 bots, Hal and Hammerhead. A Surrey Sunflower is in the house. And those are the management staff here. And then we've got some moderators. Hated Patriot, Big John. Hi, Big John. How are you? And hello, Steve Travesty. You're out there too. We have Comet, Herbal Fluzzy 1, a.k.a. Herbal Floozy 1, a.k.a. Mona. Patrick Anglish, hello. Shinona. I love it when you say your name, Shinona. Shinona. I remember that from Hawk's Nest. That's how you said your name. It was very cute. Shinona. So anyway, myself, this blue monkey, in case you're wondering who you are listening to. And Tremjar's in the house. Vasto, Wolfman J. Oh, thank goodness I remembered. Special thanks to Wolfman J, a.k.a. JP Prometheus, who is the current proprietor and has taken over Wolf Spirit Radio for Dave Corso upon his unfortunate, untimely passing. So we have a Wolf Spirit Radio simulcasting this show right now, and I'm so glad I did not forget to thank you, because it truly is an honor to be simulcast on the sister station to Revolution Radio. So thank you very much, JP. for simulcasting the show currently. So thanks. All right, Bernard, let's see. Bouger is how I'm going to say your name. It's spelled B-U-G-E-R, but I'm going to say Bouger. I'm going to call you French. Causation, Deep Blue, Gail Marie, Gathica, George H, G, Hopscotch, Hemp, Hot Wine. I wonder what hot wine tastes like. I don't know. I guess it's like sake. Wow, there's a slip. Okay, Jody. Curon, hey Curon, nice to see you again. Lioness, Love, Lozo1, Lucid, Michael, Monkey4310, my fellow monkey in the chat, Mr. Rowe, and I just saw that you added me on Skype, so cool. Mr. Rowe, congratulations on your new hosting experience here at Revolution Radio. Then we've got Noodles, hello Noodles, change your name, or don't, it's up to you. Olive 2M in the house, PJ the Gray 21, Potato 8. My good friend Rectify. Rapsy, Rev Radio. Who is Rev Radio, by the way? I always see that name and I never know who it is. But you're walking with some in some big shoes there with the name Rev Radio. Simply Red 777 in the house. Soul Wonders. Sue. Sungazer 1. Hey, Sungazer, what's up? Another one of my New Mexico buddies. Not New Mexico buddies, but New Mexico buddies. Anyway, not that I don't have any buddies in Mexico. Swede, Wally, hello Wally, Zap is in the house, and a bunch of zippies, is that it? All the zippies on the planet, etc., etc. So let's see, I think I'm ready to bring in the one and only V. So hold on one second, I'm going to add this person real quick, accept and excellent. Okay, here we go. Dun-ta-da. Okay, this is exciting. Yeah, V, are you ready? Okay. Let's see. It's the red raging gorilla himself. It's V, the Guerrilla Economist, everyone. Thanks for joining me, V. Hi.
Hey, how are you, Angela? How's it going?
It's going well. We've never really interacted on air before, so I'm happy to have you here, and thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be on with you and with your audience. Here on freedomslips.com. It's a place that we both call home.
Yes.
So, it's good to be on. I'm excited.
Thanks. Yeah, and now your show is on Studio A on Friday evenings at, I believe, 8 p.m. Eastern. Is that correct?
Correct, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern.
Mm-hmm. And the day that I was lucky enough to sub in and host, guest host produce for you. I'm trying to spit that out in the proper way, because the Mad Painter had some actual life to live, which was pretty cool.
Yes.
So. Anyway, and you had the whole Rogue Money crew on that day, and it was quite an exciting experience for me.
Oh, it was awesome. I think that event was equivalent. It was the financial economic equivalent to WrestleMania.
Wow, and I got to produce. That's pretty cool. I jumped in with both feet. You had a lot of calls coming in, and a lot of people wanting to call in. But there's only so many people you can. There's only so many animals in a zoo that you can keep in one cage at one time. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so we also share, some type of, species moment, because you are the red raging gorilla and I am this blue monkey. Yeah, exactly.
The simian connection there.
So, okay, what's really exciting for me is, that now that I've got you here as my guest and partner in crime for the next 2 hours, is that I get to tell you that I'm a kindergartner when it comes to all this. But let's first at least let people know roguemoney.net is the main website, is your website. Is that correct?
Correct. It is a membership-only website. But in terms of membership, here's the deal. When people sign up for, let's say Wall Street Journal, any of these, you're spending a lot of money per month. Rogue Money is $2.99 per month. Mm-hmm. It's less than the price of a cup of coffee. And we break all the news financially and economically before anybody else. We have a great track record of doing so.
Yeah. That's cool. So it's $2.99 a month, and it's roguemoney.net, and I'm excited to learn more about what the heck's going on the planet. Your Skype mood says breaking the economic fog of war, I believe. Which is I'm like, wow, that's heavy, that's deep. I want to know more about that. Okay, so a couple more questions before we get rolling.
Sure.
Is that so? How did you? I looked you up, and you had a blog that apparently you have not tended to in a couple of years. The Guerrilla Economist. That is you, yes?
No.
Oh, that's somebody else. Oh, wow.
Be careful, folks. There is a communist.
Yeah, I saw that.
A communist version of me running around.
Good to know. Glad we could clarify.
Yeah, and I think he came on long after me, and it's me, but it's my evil doppelganger.
Wow, good to know. Good to know.
And his website is Guerrilla Economist, and it has the communist star on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? I was made aware of this because I was in a boardroom meeting with a major investors. And they're like, wait a minute, so you're the Guerrilla Economist? I'm like, yeah, well, we went on your website. Are you communist? I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, we went on your website, GuerrillaEconomist.com. You're like a flaming communist. I'm like, what? I'm like, that is not my website.
Wow. That's funny. I wonder, well, I guess we could tag that guy, the Guerrilla Communist.
Communist is right.
Yeah, you got it. Anyway, enough about him. That evil doppelganger communist guy. That commie. Just kidding. For all of our communist friends out there.
We love you guys.
Okay, wow. So, and I think a good friend of mine is going to call in. He's a regular caller here on Revolution Radio, and he had some questions for you. I spoke with him last night, and he was very excited to listen. And so, Bruce MacDonald, I'll be bringing you in, probably, toward the top of the hour, unless I lose, words in my, like right now. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Anyway, so he may be calling in with some actual pertinent and informed questions, unlike myself. So I'm excited to let you know that I'm a kindergartner when it comes to the economy. And I figure you can walk me through, you can hold my hand and kind of just take me through what are we looking at? What is the world bracing for right now, and what are the informed people, what do they know compared to what I know, and how do I get there? So, yeah, no small task right now.
No, that's a great question. What we're facing right now, folks, there's no probably here anymore. Mm-hmm. It is definitely, unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt, the most economically dangerous time in over 900 years of human economic history.
Wow.
That's what we're facing. Never before have we had a world reserve currency that is as widely used as the dollar, that is so globally infiltrated, globally saturated as the dollar, and that is as leveraged as the U.S. dollar, been in danger of total and complete collapse. That's never happened before. Not even with the British pound sterling prior to World War II. The pound sterling was the world reserve currency. When that died, it brought pretty much the end of the British Empire, so to speak. But it also was, it wasn't so bad. It wasn't as over leveraged. It didn't have all these quote-unquote financial instruments, which are just a fancy way of calling fraud. Instead of calling it fraud, they call it a financial instrument. So you don't have these things. You don't have, back in 1933 when we had the Great Depression and the bankruptcy of the United States, we didn't have derivatives. We didn't have high-frequency trading. We didn't have pure fiat currency. Printing, we didn't have quantitative easing and zero interest rate policies. You didn't have countries selling 10-year bonds at negative interest, at negative yields. These things never happened. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're in a very, very unique situation financially. It's a situation that no other generation has ever faced in all of human economic history. Never faced a problem like this before. And it's so critical. Because in terms of creating this jumbled mess of paper that's been leveraged to the hilt, we've also created around this jumbled mix of paper, this fraudulent phantom wealth, this illusionary world we live in thinking it's real. We've also built one of the most fragile supply chains in human history. Never before has man lived so far away from his food supply. Never before has man lived so far away from his necessary resources. Never before has man been so far removed from his environment that he no longer can function in the environment, that he has to sustain his life based upon modern necessities that can instantaneously be gone overnight.
Yeah.
And that's something, folks, that not even the Weimar Republic had to face. That's something, folks, that not even America and the Great Depression had to face. I mean, think about this. The Great Depression, right? You had 90% of the people living in the rural countrysides, 10% living within the cities and the surrounding suburbs, okay? And out of that 90-some-odd percent, you had a great deal of those individuals that owned farms that were self-sufficient. And what happened? Well, 7.5 million people starved to death.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, imagine today, and when I sit in a room with some of the smartest guys in the world, and I say, okay, gentlemen, let's put all the cards on the table. You know, these are guys who are statisticians. These are guys who are head of major financial firms and statistic companies, some of whom you know, some of whom are very popular, some of whom's newsletters are circulated throughout the world. And I sit there and I say, you know, in a conference meeting with these guys, I say, okay, guys, let's put the cards on the table. Let's take the kitty gloves off. Let's talk some real hard numbers here. What does an economic collapse in the United States look like? And the immediate answer is 25 million dead in the first 90 days.
25 million dead.
25 million dead in the first 90 days. Now the question is, oh my God, how can 25 million people die in 90 days? Well, it's really simple. You know, we created this fraudulent, illusionary world that we call the wealth. It's really not wealth. It's you have a lot of rich people out there. Okay, and Chris Rock, one of my favorite comedians, said it best. Rich is something you can lose in a summer with a drug habit and a hooker. That's rich.
Wow, yeah.
Wealth is the family that owns the color blue.
Right.
Okay, that's wealth.
It's in their blood.
Yeah,
it's in their blood.
He also said the line that, you know, rich is Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal's rich. Wealth is the guy who signs Shaquille O'Neal's check. Here you go, Shaq. Go buy yourself a bouncing car.
Yeah.
Bling bling.
Yeah. I've seen it. I've seen the truck actually. It was bigger than a bus.
Yeah. So that's rich. You got a lot of rich people, but they're paper millionaires. Okay, their whole wealth is based on paper. It's leveraged on paper. Their mortgages are leveraged on paper. Their cars are everything that they have is leveraged to the hilt, and they think they walk around with this air that they have power and influence until they sit around with somebody who's like myself. And I smack them across the face with some real hard facts. And they move away from the meeting saying to themselves, holy crap, you know what, I am a paper millionaire, and I am in the most dangerous of circumstances, because should the very thing that my paper millions are denominated by, should the very instrument, should the very thing that my entire life is built up around, or the dollar, should that dollar go, should it vaporize tomorrow, I'm screwed. My wealth is gone. My ability to buy things and live my lifestyle, it's over.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't realize. And, you know, that's the danger zone that we're in. So right now, when you have central banks, and, you know, for those that don't know, a central bank is basically a private club of banks that print money out of nothing, out of thin air, backed by nothing. Okay? It's not a part of any sovereign government whatsoever. It's a private club. And you're not invited, like what George Carlin would always say. Okay, so when a central banks around the world, especially particularly the West, the central banks in the West have decided to come into a suicide pact. And that suicide pact, they have said that we're going to print to oblivion. We're going to get out of debt by issuing more debt. And everybody stands up and claps their hands and say, oh, how smart these people are. How brilliant these people are. But folks, you got to understand, we are heading over a cliff at a very high rate of speed. So, in a nutshell, Angela, that's where we are globally.
Wow. And so I'm the term paper millionaires is very interesting. You know, I see it. I can see exactly. And one of the things that I notice, you know, is that, you know, everybody wants to be So you got the media, and you got your advertisers, and you've got your demographic, and you watch. I actually personally don't have a TV anymore. I watch any shows I need to on the internet, etc. But
Yes.
I love to look at advertising. I love to hate looking at advertising as a sociological study almost, and just to see what it is that is being what idea and what product and what lifestyle is being fed to an individual who is being forced to believe that they desire that particular lifestyle, and then and then of course, I hate to bring her up. I love to hate to bring her up. Of course, and the millionaire, the paper millionaire, idea, and the paper doll for that matter. And looking at that, I desire that. I'm supposed to desire that. They tell me I desire that. Therefore, I want that. And I still think, not me personally, but I'm saying, the chosen victim, the demographic of advertising that particular genre happens or whatever is that these people, they're still buying the lipstick. And I bought lipstick in the 80s, and I still have, some lipstick. Yeah, I do. But to watch, people still spending, $30-$40 on a lipstick because Kim Kardashian told them to, and because it looks really pretty on that flashy, TV show that's not a TV show with the commercials that are, basically TV shows in their own rights, et cetera. And to see this unsustainable lifestyle that is being still proposed and propagandized to the masses as something that is desirable is part of the agenda. It leads people to think they want all this stuff that they don't really need. So, and it keeps that paper economy going. Yes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What they have social engineered with the American public in particular is, I always say this, and forgive me, but I always say this, and I say that the American public is like Hitler's wet dream. Hitler would love to have a population that's as dumb as ours. Seriously, he would love to have a population that is as ignorant, as uneducated, and as dumb and as gullible, and with the short attention span that ours has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. It's incredible. Look at the latest reports. 100 people died in the month of March, last month alone, from cops.
Yeah.
No one says anything. Cops killed more people in the United States in the month of March than in 100 years of cops in England.
Wow.
Okay, so that's major. That's major. Nobody says that. If the average American takes it, he doesn't care, because as long as there's beer, there's football, there's shopping, everything's good. You see, he is a what's the word I'm looking for? A sedated animal. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the thing that keeps the American populace sedated is the dollar. Mm-hmm. But what happens when that sedative is removed? That inoculation of constant bombardment of, hey, you need this, you need to live beyond your means, you need to buy things that you can't afford, so on and so forth. What happens when that sedative is taken away from these animals? They're going to go berserk. They will eat each other.
Yeah, exactly. Because
they've replaced American culture. American culture used to be, the founding documents plus Christian values.
Okay.
That was it. Okay, you Bill of Rights, Constitution, the Bible. That's it. That was American culture. Mom, it was, God and country, mom and apple pie. Mm-hmm. and that's been completely subverted and perverted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now you have a group of people, because they realize, the banksters realize, you can't, the thing that faces every real economy historically is this: how are you going to create growth with the fact that you have to deal with finite resources? Okay, that's the challenge for a real economist. How to create and sustain growth within an economy and keep it balanced, keep it sustainable, mm-hmm. with finite resources. Okay. That's the trick. The banksters don't like that, because they're driven by power and greed. So their whole thing is how to create infinite growth in a world with finite resources. Well, that type of model, the thing that you'd have to do is you'd have to constantly create bubbles. And that's what we have. We have a bubble economy. One bubble pops, you just inflate another one. The .coms go .bomb, and they go .gone.
Yeah.
What do you do after the dot-coms? Well, you create another bubble. You create the housing bubble. You make it so that in a way that you loosen lending standards to the point that if anybody can walk up into your bank and can stand in front of a mirror, breathe on it, and fog the mirror, they were given a loan.
Right. Right.
Okay?
I remember the time. Yeah. My parents were in the mortgage banking business during that time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
then
exactly. The adjustable rates got adjusted, and the interest rates were readjusted, and poof, there goes the infinite growth model. So now, after the housing bust, which helped take down the ridiculous economy of 2008, we're out of bubbles. Okay, so since 2008 till 2015, right now, we've been running on life support. In other words, the body's dead. The patient is dead. There is no more brain wave activity. Okay, so we are on the life support of the Federal Reserve System. We are on the life support of Wall Street fraud. And this works. Okay, it works because it is a Ponzi scheme. It always has been.
Okay. And
it works so long as you have willing idiots who are willing to believe your nonsense.
Yeah, basically, I'm getting a picture of, these humans being grown in pods, in the Matrix, et cetera. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm seeing when you're talking.
Exactly. So as long as you have these willing idiots who are willing to, these suckers who are willing to buy your Ponzi scheme, the Ponzi scheme works. But until one day, somebody wakes up and says, hey, wait a minute, the emperor has no clothes. There really is no money here. This is a Ponzi scheme. And then the jig's up and the whole entire thing implodes. Mm-hmm. Well, what's happening, okay, folks, is globally, the world has figured out that the United States is the emperor without no clothes. And on top of that, he's a toothless tiger. The world's trying to figure out, we don't need to invest in the dollar because the dollar right now is the most toxic currency, it's the most toxic asset on the planet. So they're not buying. So who's buying U.S. debt? Who is funding the American dream, the American lifestyle, quote unquote? Well, it's the Fed. So the Federal Reserve is right now the biggest buyer of American debt. I mean, how insane is that? So our own debt, the central bank buys it. It's crazy.
So they're creating it. They're buying it. I actually have a term for that. Buying their own BS.
Bingo.
Yeah, I mean,
bingo.
Wow. So
it's insane.
And then we all stand by and just we're sycophants, and we're gullible, and we're just watching this, and so what can we do? I mean, what does the average American do next when we're looking at that scenario, which is it's the 600-pound gorilla. Speaking of monkeys, what do we do?
Well, the only thing that the average person can do is this, okay? You don't need to be a millionaire or a billionaire in order to protect your wealth.
Okay.
If you can afford there are things. If you can afford $60 a week, there's a gold savings plan that you can get on where they can, send you a gram of gold per week or a gram of gold per month, whatever you can do. That's a savings plan. There's a company that does that. Anybody has any questions on it, you can contact me, Guerrilla Economist @gmail.com. Or go to my site, click under services, and you'll see the thing that says karatbars. You can click on that, and it shows you how to do it. That's a gold savings plan. Okay, that's a hard asset thing. Okay. Another thing that people do, they can buy junk silver. There are people that I talk about, that I talk to that they can't afford a lot. So I'll tell them to buy pre-1964 junk silver coins, which are like your dimes, your nickels, your quarters that are 90% silver. Mm-hmm. That's one way of doing it, okay? Another way, there are people who have 401ks. I get, emails all the time. Hey, V, I got a 401k. I got, 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand, 100 grand sitting in a 401k. What do I do with it? I can't touch it. It's locked in. Well, there are loopholes in place where, you can actually create an LLC offshore and roll your 401k into a hard asset fund. And there are companies that can, get you out of paper and into hard assets. Again, go on roadmoney.net, click on services. There's a thing called strategic metals. Click on that, and you can diversify into strategic metals as well as gold and silver. That's the only way to do it. You know, it's you have to stay viable on the other end of it. You know, there's a lot of doom and gloomers who think, okay, this is the end of it. Now, you know, the beginning of the program, I said 25 million dead in 90 days. Mm-hmm. Let me quantify it. Let me explain what that means. Okay, we live in a very fragile, extremely fragile supply chain.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly.
I live next to New York City. Mm-hmm. You have about 15 million people that live around here alone. Okay, so when this thing goes bust, and the people can't get their welfare checks, their EBT stopped working, you're going to have rioting. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have a great deal of people that are going to die from the rioting, the violence, and the looting. Okay? Mm-hmm. You're going to have another set of people that are going to die from starvation, dehydration, and lack of medication. Mm-hmm. Okay? And you add that up from New York, Chicago, L.A., okay, Houston, okay, mm-hmm. And a few other large cities in the United States, and boom, there you go. There's your 20 million, 25 million dead.
Yeah.
Okay? It's very easy, folks, because, you're talking about a point where water doesn't work, necessary services like electricity is not working. The average American doesn't know how to survive that.
Yeah, nine meals to anarchy, as they say.
That's all it is. It's 9 meals to anarchy. Mm-hmm. And we live in a society where, we are the most heavily medicated population on the planet.
Yep.
70% of the world's psychotropic drugs are dispensed here. Mm-hmm. It's scary. So, you put this volatile concoction together. Oh my God, forget about it.
Yeah, face-eating zombies, right away. I wish that was funny. And the other thing is, let's not forget about, the wonderful, geoengineered drought, and the die-off, the species die-off. So, not only, are we talking about, of course, the money side of things, but, drought. Obviously that ties in completely with drought. You're talking about people, starvation, et cetera, people who are not growing their own food, people who are, unable to afford a tomato in, X amount of days from now. Tomatoes are going to be, I'm sure I'll see a tomato that'll be $8. I saw a gallon of milk that was like $10, and it was organic, and it was like 8 something. And, in Alaska, milk up there, a gallon of milk is $10, so of course, people say, well, don't drink dairy, whatever. The point is that, you're going to see an $8 tomato relatively soon. And right. How can people survive that? They cannot. Especially people who make 8 something an hour. And that's you have to work an hour to buy a tomato. You're not going to buy it. What are you going to buy? Crap processed food. Because that's all you can afford. You can afford the ramen. That's all you can afford. And so, yeah, beside, and that's if you want to talk about psychotropic drugs, do ramen all week. You know what I mean? So it is.
That explains some college kids in the United States during spring break. What happens? They've been eating ramen and pizza and bad takeout Chinese, and all of a sudden they're unleashed somewhere in some warm tropic area, and they go like animals. It makes perfect sense. They're all wound up.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bunch of monosodium glutamate just coming out of their pores, etc. Yeah, and you've got the medicated thing, and then if you've got people whose insurance situations go to crap, basically, and so all these drugs that they're on, all of a sudden they're in withdrawal land, so unfortunately, it is doom and gloom that we are talking about. So one of the ways that what I talk about, and then what a lot of people at this station talk about, of course, is growing your own food. That's one way to start preparing yourself for the imminent economic collapse, if I may. I don't know if am I allowed to say that? Is it imminent?
Yeah, absolutely. It's imminent.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, and then the other is and that's great. I'm so glad that there's hands-on ways to start preparing for that. People can find information on your website, which is again roguemoney.net, and there are things like the $60 per week or per month, depending on what you can afford, a gold savings plan, and also ways to roll over your 401k into an LLC offshore, picking up pre-1964 silver, etc. Yeah. So, and then I have a neighbor of mine. He's into the silver certificate thing. I don't know much about it, but he buys silver certificates. I don't know.
Worthless. It's about as valuable as the certificate it's printed on. If you're not holding the actual, if you're not holding the actual physical, the metal. If you're not holding the actual tangible here, you're holding nothing.
Okay.
You're holding an IOU. You're holding something and hoping that it's there. Believe me. I mean, a lot of these vaults in the United States, there's not a single vault in the United States that I trust.
Uh-huh.
A lot of these vaulting companies will say, oh, you know what, we're with Comex. Look at the Comex. You know, they have, oh my God, supposedly 3 million ounces of silver in their vault. Yeah. They have contracts out for 750 million ounces. So there's so much paper, silver that's circulated out there. If you're not holding it, man, you can have all the certificates you want. You're no different than Joe Sixpack down the street with his $20 bills. There's no difference.
Okay. So a question on, all right, so they're printing the money, and this is known as fiat currency, yes? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So they're printing the money. It's not based on the gold standard, in other words. Right. So this paper that they're printing, the central banks are printing, or is it the Fed that's printing it? Who prints the money? Who actually prints the money?
Well, the actual technical printing is done by the Treasury Department.
Okay.
So the Fed loans the money over to the Treasury. Treasury prints it out. The Fed calls in the order and says, hey, you know what? Print out X billion dollars. And go out and the Treasury prints it on loan from the Fed, and then we're on the hook.
And then where does it go?
Pay it back.
Where does it go next? What happens? Where does it go? To the banks? And they just stack up some money behind them, and then how does that trickle into my pocket? I mean, how does that work?
Great question.
Thank you.
All the money. Okay, you think to yourself, oh man, there's so much printing going on. How come unemployment rate and folks, the real unemployment rate is 34.6%. It's not 5.6. It's not 5.5. It's 34.6%, and I'll get to that later. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, not cool, but cool that you'll get to that.
Yeah. So, in terms of where's all this printed money going? Well, I'll tell you where it's going. It's going into Wall Street. And Wall Street sits on the money, uses it as collateral, okay, for all sorts of financial instruments that they're betting on within the derivatives market. Now, you might ask yourself a question, what is derivatives? If I were to give you a formula, a mathematical formula on derivatives, okay, you could take it to a Harvard a mathematician, and he would have a hell of a time trying to explain what it is. Okay. Basically, folks, a derivative is a bet on a bet on a bet on top of a bet. Okay, wow. In other words, if you got that, well, like, I don't know, I got a favorite pen. I love Pilot G2 pens. They're like my absolute favorite. If I were to say that this pen is $2, and all of a sudden Angela comes along and says, hey, that pen is not $2, it's really $10. And then Angela uses that pen as collateral for one of her bets and says, look, I got this $10 pen. It's really not $10. It's actually really valuable. It's really $20. And then somebody else says, no, it's not 20, it's 30. And another guy says, it's not 30, it's 100. And another guy says, it's not 100, 10,000. The next thing, this $1 pen is all of a sudden $20 million. But it's backed up by nothing. It's still a stupid $1 pen. Mm-hmm. That's what's called over-leverage.
Over-leverage?
Over-leverage. Mm-hmm. So you have all the money that's being printed is being used within these financial markets as over-leveraged assets. And the funny thing is, when you financialize an asset, I want you to think about this, and this kind of draws in with the mortgages, okay? When you financialize an asset, okay, I coined the term weaponized banking. Okay. So when you financialize something, you weaponize it. Okay, watch this. So here's the new lending guidelines. You're a bank, and all of a sudden you decide to start doling out mortgages to people who can come to your branch and know how to fog a mirror and lie on give them liar loans where they lie about their income. That mortgage, because hey, you know what, the interest rates are so darn low, you're not making any money having that mortgage on deposit. You're not making any money having that mortgage just sit on your asset side of your books. You're not making any money with that. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and leverage it out and use it as collateral, okay, in all sorts of backroom deals with some of your buddies on Wall Street and some of these financial firms, okay? So, you partner up with XYZ brokerage. XYZ brokerage takes some of the mortgages you have, and they financialize it, and they use it as collateral for their bet. So they have what's called mortgage-backed securities. Okay. And this bet gets hedged out over and over and over and over again, that at some point, somewhere, somebody fails to make a payment. And all of a sudden, that sends a cascading effect come crashing back. Because by the time it's left you and went down 20, 30, rows down the line, it's grown in value quote unquote. Okay, it's grown from, a $100,000 mortgage, and it's been collateralized and financialized so many times that $100,000 mortgage is being lumped in with a $3 million, securities package.
Okay.
Okay, and all of a sudden somebody defaults, and it's not that $100,000 mortgage that you're going to get hit with as a bank. It's that $3 million coming back and hitting you and torpedoing you.
Wow.
And now what if you have not just one, not just 10, what if you have 1,000 of them hitting you at once? Goodbye, bank.
Uh-huh.
Can you say Washington Mutual? Can you say Lehman Brothers?
Okay.
I mean, this is what's happened. Okay, so there was no way of stopping this monstrosity. So when you financialize something, the further you start taking that actual real asset away from the tangible, you start removing the investor further and further and further away from the asset. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I'm following. Definitely.
Okay. So you financialize something like a mortgage, right? Now, watch this. Look what they're doing today with oil, right? You have an entire financial sector built on the price of oil.
Okay, yeah.
And they were built on the idea that there will perpetually, and I don't know how these idiots even function, that there always will be, perpetually and always shall be, $80 to $100 oil. So they've taken oil, they bought, I'm going to buy, 10,000 shares of this oil. Okay, and they bought it for, $90. And they go ahead and they use this $90 oil price, $80 or $100 oil price, in various collateralized deals, various schemes and trades with other brokerages. And they begin to over-leverage these oil deals over and over again. And the whole scheme works. The whole scheme works so long as oil is between $80 and $100.
Okay.
Fast forward to July of 2014, when the Guerrilla said that oil's going to drop and we can expect it to hit, below $50 per barrel by the end of December. And sure enough, it happened. What happened to all those financial firms who had all these dealings in place based on a high oil price? They started going belly up. One by one, they started shutting down, going bankrupt. One by one, they start laying off people. Okay? So it's the same, and we haven't even felt the full effect of that. We will towards the summer because we had a cold winter in the United States. That was our saving grace because it kept the price of natural gas still up, and the demand, even though the oil prices fell, the demand for oil was still there. So it kind of kept these guys in the job, so to speak. Okay? Mm-hmm. But that's an example of financialization. Okay? Where something that is a real tangible asset becomes financialized because, in other words, it becomes further and further removed from its actual value. It becomes a derivative of its actual self. And that's what a derivative is, and that's what financialization is. Okay, so imagine the entire world's financial system is impregnated to bursting with this type of stuff.
Okay.
And you say nuclear time bomb.
Wow. Okay. So my question is, as you lay it out so clearly, my question is, why? Why? I mean, it seems obvious, this imminent, collapse, this imminent catastrophe, this bursting of the impregnated system, with nothing but derivatives and these, this, as you're putting it, you're getting further and further removed from the assets, and then these, these collapses, these bankruptcies, et cetera. Didn't they see that coming? I mean, that's, and if they did see it coming, the banks and all these different, schemers in the back, et cetera, if they did see it coming and they knew it was imminent, what did they plan? I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me when you lay it out like this. The kindergartner that I am, as far as the economy is concerned, I can, it makes perfect sense that what you're saying is that it makes absolutely no sense. And so what is the end goal I mean, it seems like collapse is the ultimate result. So what is their goal? Why would we do it?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. Their goal is collapse.
Okay.
You see? So it's not. So if people make a great mistake if they think that this is just a bunch of group of guys who are just so exorbitantly greedy that they just make stupid mistakes. So when you have a few stupid mistakes, in a row, you might say it's an accident. But when you have a string of successive quote-unquote mistakes, bad moves, bad policy, bad regulations, bad laws being passed that support and prop up the fraud on Wall Street, you no longer can call it a bunch of stupid mistakes. What you have there is an agenda. It's a clear-cut agenda. This is clearly orchestrated. Collapse is the end goal. Because these guys make a tremendous amount of money in a collapse. They make a tremendous killing in a hyperinflation environment where it becomes very easy for them to borrow money, very easy for them to discharge debt, very easy for them to extract wealth. This is a wealth extraction process. Okay, look, at the beginning of the show, I talked about ZIRP, zero interest rate policy. I talked about, they are in Europe, they have what's called, you want to go deposit money in the bank, they have negative interest rates on your checking account and in your savings account. Negative interest rates. And that's insane. Mm-hmm. Okay? On top of all the bank fees, the ATM debit card fees and all that other junk. Okay? On top of that, today the Swiss announced, Switzerland, that bastion of banking, or it used to be, they announced negative interest rates on their 10-year bond. In other words, the negative interest rates, what they do is they kill currency. They extract wealth. This is all about wealth extraction. Okay? And what are they doing? They're using, these banksters are using printed up money, because the banks print money out of thin air. They utilize, like for instance, if you deposit $1,000 into a bank, the bank takes your $1,000 and loans it out 9 times. That's called fractional reserve lending. Okay, so they take that $1,000 deposit and make $9,000 worth of loans on it, in the hopes that all 9 of those people that they've shelled out loans to don't come back at once asking for their money.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's the hope. That's American banking. That's Western banking. I mean, it's stupid. Okay, that's fractional reserve lending. So these banks, who print money out of thin air, these types of situations, when I'm talking about wealth extraction, is something that's going to gravely affect the public. The banksters on top, they're going to ride this thing. They're going to ride this thing like a surfer riding a wave. And their goal is to take this worthless paper that they've created out of nowhere and exchange it for your hard asset and put you on the hook for the debt. Okay, look at Iceland, right? When Iceland went belly up in 2008, along with the rest of the Eurozone, the banksters knocked on the Icelandic people's doors and said, "Oh, you owe us money. Your country's hundreds of billions of dollars in debt. You owe us money." And then the Icelandic people, who had a pair of gonads and some serious, their women have a backbone and their men have testicular fortitude, stood up and said, "Up yours. That's not our funds. Oh, we'll ban you permanently from EU membership. We'll threaten a military strike on your." They actually threatened a military action on Iceland. And Iceland pretty much said to the EU, "Bring it. Bring it." I mean, if anybody look, I grew up around, bodybuilding and powerlifting, all my life. Some of the most powerful guys in the world are from Iceland. Yeah. Are you kidding me? It's known as the land of the giants. I mean, if anybody's seen HBO's Game of Thrones, you have a guy from Iceland over there. The guy's like 6'9". His name is Bjorn Thorminson, or what I don't even know what his name is. The guy's like 6'9", 415 pounds ripped. I mean, 415 pounds. Wow. Solid muscle. No belly. He has a six-pack. It's crazy. Yeah. Crazy. It looks like
pull a plane with his teeth. Can pull the jet plane with his teeth.
Exactly. I mean, that's who Iceland has. Now, a bunch of, Euro weenies. A bunch of the Euro weenies want to go there and start fighting with them. Are you kidding me? So basically, the Icelandic people, here's the template for everybody. The Icelandic people woke up and said, "Wait a minute, this is not our debt. This is your debt." And they kicked the banksters out. And the banksters that they didn't kick out, they threw them in jail alongside with all their politicians that were working in cahoots with them.
Wow.
There's the solution. And Iceland, after 2008, was the only country in the world, in the Western world, excuse me, let me clarify that, in the Western world that recovered. It's the only one.
Wow. Okay, we'll be right back after the break with V, the Guerrilla Economist. Hang on, V. We'll be right back.
No problem.